Hi, welcome to SciTech Long Island. My name is Rebecca Ashkenazi, and today we're going to get to interview Laura Weinberg from the Breast Cancer Coalition and 4 other interns at the Students and Scientists Research Program. So stay tuned.
The next time you look up at the night sky, just think. Each point of light is a sun, and likely has orbiting planets. In fact, astronomers searching one small sliver of the sky have found nearly 1,000 worlds so far. We're surrounded by solar systems. And as we learn more about the universe around us, NASA is developing capabilities on Earth and in space to send astronauts further into our solar system than ever before, to an asteroid, Mars, and beyond. To follow the journey as NASA expands human presence beyond Earth, visit nasa.gov.
Today, we're going to learn more about the Breast Cancer Coalition of Great Neck. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much for having us, Rebecca.
Thank you for coming. So, Laura, can you tell me a little bit more, something you haven't mentioned before about the Breast Cancer Coalition of Great Neck?
Okay, well, as I mentioned the last time, our 2 strongest programs are our Lend a Helping Hand program, which assists newly diagnosed women, and our student program, Students and Scientist Research Program, which has been operating for 11 years. And in the last program, we had 6 students, and now today there are 4 additional fantastic students. And but one issue that we didn't really go into the last time was that not only does the coalition benefit because they get a message out when they come back from the laboratories that's so important to us, for the public to know, and for the students to know, because they spread the word to their peers, to their schools, and also during a television program like this. So that's all fantastic. So the public benefits as well because the information gets out there and people can reduce their risks by learning about different environmental exposures that are in our consumer products. So one thing is that every single year when it comes to about January, February, our big concern is funding for the program. Because up until last year, we were funding just about 100% for each student to attend different laboratories and room and board at colleges out of town, university campuses. So each student intern program is between $2,000 and $3,000. And if you multiply that times 9, which we sent last summer, that's $27,000, and that is a huge amount of money to fundraise for. So we actually had to ask the parents to supplement last year, and sometimes it can be a hardship for some of the parents. We would really like to put it out there that if anybody is watching this and does see the value of this program, that you are educating our next generation of scientists and also young people delivering a very important message about risk reduction and prevention, the goal of prevention towards breast cancer from what they learn in these laboratories. That is a tremendous, tremendous message, and we're hoping that someone out there, or many out there, can assist us with funding.
I agree, it's really important to spread the word. It's a really important topic. So let me see if I have any more questions for you. So you went into how a student applies, how you would apply to be a part of this. So would you want to talk about that again?
Okay, they have to send us a one-page essay in the beginning, and we review the essays, and then after that we interview them. We make our selection. We feel really badly when we have to reject some students. Sometimes we have 2 students that are both fantastic, and that's a really tough thing to do.
So what are you looking for?
Okay, that's a really good question. What we're looking for are students that have an affinity towards science, a very strong passion about science. They have taken chemistry or biology. It doesn't even have to be in the research program. They could be taking AP, or AP, any of the AP sciences. That's absolutely fine. And they also have to be humble, because we want them to really know how to present themselves in laboratories. They have to be mature, and they have to not be afraid to go away from home and for several weeks, because the internships are between 3 and 7 weeks. So we pick all that up on the interviews. And so far, all 45 internships have shown that the process that we go through has done very well.
That's good. So what advice would you give to someone who isn't currently taking AP classes or isn't such a strong science student but wants to become one?
Okay, well, it all starts with passion. If they find this information, we actually ask the students when they come back to write a 2-page essay, and then it gets edited or reviewed by the laboratory mentors. And so we ask them to do that, and then we post it. So if the future applicants want to look at the essays, which we really, really suggest, because then they get a sense of what the program is about, and so that's just very helpful if they do that.
Good. So I want to get to you guys and ask you a couple questions, but we're going to take a break first.
Hi, I'm Matt Damon. I play astronaut Mark Watney in The Martian. In the story, my character is accidentally stranded on Mars. Sending people to Mars and returning them safely is the challenge of a generation. The whole world held its breath when the Curiosity rover landed in 2012. The boot prints of astronauts will follow those rover tracks, thanks to innovations happening today. NASA's journey to Mars begins on the International Space Station, some 250 miles overhead, where we're learning how humans can thrive over long periods without gravity. Future round trips to Mars could take 500 days or longer. This year, NASA launched the first one-year mission to the International Space Station to help prepare for those future journeys. Here at home, people are working across the country on the new Orion spacecraft and Space Launch System rocket that will carry astronauts farther than ever before. When we invent new technologies for exploration, it benefits all of humanity. But more than that, the journey to Mars will forever change our history books, rewriting what we know about the red planet and expanding a human presence deeper into the solar system. Follow NASA's journey to Mars at www.nasa.gov.
Welcome back. So before, we got to hear from the president of the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition, Laura Weinberg. Now I want to hear from some of the interns at the Students and Scientists Research Program of the GNBCC. So how did you guys get involved? Well, first, let me hear your names. What's your name?
I'm Isabel Sahadi.
I'm Eileen Alyasi.
I'm Kiana Kerr. And I'm Selena Thomas.
Thank you guys for coming. So, Isabel, we'll start with you. How did you get involved?
Actually, I had never been exposed to the science research environment before meeting Laura and the incredibly wonderful GNBCC. And I was actually kind of scared coming into this, wasn't from a science research background. So when I heard about the program from my biology teacher, I was immediately interested. I also felt a personal connection. My grandmother suffered from breast cancer. So I thought it as a tribute to her, and I also thought that it was such an important topic that really many people neglected, and breast cancer is such a big thing in Nassau County in general, and I thought studying environmental links would really, really be beneficial to me. So I immediately went on the GNBCC website and I started looking at all the essays that students from previous programs were posting, and it was heartwarming and touching, and from there, that's really where my journey began, and I'm so glad that I just took the first steps.
Wow. So really, you weren't into research before you learned about the GNBCC.
Nope. I mean, I was always interested. I think I was more scared, intimidated. well, this is such a big, research opportunity. I thought I'll mess it up. I never thought that I was capable of such amazing things, but my passion really drove me, and I let that motivate me, and that's really why I'm here today.
It's a really amazing message to send to people who want to start getting
Anyone at
interested in
home
this.
who's watching this, if you are a little bit scared but you have that passion, go for it.
Thank you. Eileen?
Hi. I definitely agree with Isabel. I was fortunate enough to be in science research and get to present my previous projects, but I never presented anything like this. It was nothing of this scale and this caliber, and with such amazing researchers too. I've always been interested in science. I've always loved science, but I think that the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition adds something that classes don't. It makes you question science. It makes you ask the questions that uncover new information, and that's what science is all about. So after, again, I went on the website, I read the essays, I read the message and the values of the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition, and it was one of those, it was, as soon as I knew about it, how could I not apply to such an amazing program? And I was lucky enough to be accepted, which I thank you, Laura.
That's amazing. Kiana?
So at our school we have science research starting in middle school, so I did that in 8th grade, but it was very basic, home projects, very much so on your own. So when our science research senior high teacher told us about the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition, I was so excited. This was an opportunity to do research in a professional lab and use real equipment and meet people who do this for a living, and really just become immersed in something that I'm very passionate about. So I also went on the website and read the essays and talked to one of the kids from our school that went to GNBC before, and he just told us about what a positive experience it was and how much he learned from it. So I went on the interview and luckily was accepted, and it was just so amazing.
Selena?
Like Kiana, I had an interest in science for the majority of my life. I had been in the science research program offered at my school, and it was a good program, but it was pretty preliminary if you think about it. And what really solidified my interest in breast cancer research was the GNBCC because of its focus on the environmental links to breast cancer. And I thought that was so great because there's this misconception that a lot of forms of cancer and a lot of cases of cancer are inevitable and that they are linked to genetics. And it's actually the opposite. Breast cancer can be avoided in many cases and be prevented with research and by looking at the environmental links. And that's exactly what we focused on. And the fact that we're teenagers studying the environmental links means that maybe in 30, 40, 50 years from now, we won't even have to worry about the environmental links to breast cancer, and that will reduce the cases of breast cancer tremendously. And I thought that was such a great opportunity. We had a chance to research that.
Just so amazing to hear your journeys and how you got to where you are now. I want to ask though, are there any pros and cons? Are there any cons of your involvement? I know that it takes up a lot of time, so do you ever, is there ever something that you want to do but you can't? Or your summers, are they taken up by this? Do you want to start, Isabel?
Sure. Well, this summer I was away for 3 weeks, and it was incredible. Of course, it was a big time commitment. Our hours were long, 9 to 5. But it was really something that we enjoyed, something that we were passionate about. The researchers welcomed us with open arms, made us feel at home. And really made us feel that much, more at home and better. So that really helped. And of course, it's always going to be a time commitment, and there's always going to be a con. But the pros greatly outweigh that. And if you look at the light at the end of the tunnel, and the amount of the discoveries and all the new technologies that have come out, and the new research that really, really helps the public and educates them so that they're more informed, that's really what pushes us and drives us. So it's well worth it.
Wow. Eileen?
I agree. Science research is a great time commitment. And, I think that that's why it's so great, because you put in so much work and effort and time, but in the end, you come out with a project or research or findings that are, it helps the world in some way. And it's more fulfilling than I could have ever imagined spending my summer. It's not like I'm taking care of kids at a summer camp. I'm actually helping find environmental links to breast cancer, which I found was much so fulfilling and so worth the time commitment or any cons.
Luckily, we were at UMass Amherst, and at that school there are other teenage researchers as well. So we were able to interact with people our age who were also conducting research and just talk about all the different things that we're doing in labs, and that totally made the time commitment seem like not even a con, because we get to talk to professionals and learn from them, and then also share what we know with other people our age, and just engage completely in science. So I think that, as with anything that you're really committed to, it will take a lot of time, but the reward is always greater.
I completely agree with Kiana, actually, because when we were on the campus at UMass Amherst, we realized that when we weren't in the lab, we were learning about college life, and that was a completely different aspect of the program, but it was so inviting. We learned about the scheduling that college requires. We learned about the work that it requires. We learned from undergraduates and PhD students about how much work you have to put in at a lab, and also what you can do on your downtime. And I thought that was just a great precursor to college, which we will be starting next year. Also, the feeling that you get after you complete your research and you are finally able to conclude your results, and you are able to draw a conclusion and analyze the data that you have compiled, that feeling is just unparalleled. And it was honestly the perfect ending to a great summer that Laura and the Breast Cancer Coalition was able to provide us.
Wow. So I know that a lot of students will get into science research just to put it on their college transcripts, or their high school transcripts to get into college. But do you think, did you get into this just to do that, or did you do this for a love of science?
As I mentioned before, I never had the science research background. So for me, this was for me to kind of see where this journey would take me. I wanted to see, I always had the passion in science, but I wanted to see if it was something that I could pursue as a career later on, and I wanted that lab experience before I got to college. So for me, it was really for myself as a growing experience, to be exposed to that environment, to meet incredible people who welcomed us and showed us their daily lives, which are incredible, really. A lot of times we kind of don't realize that there are those scientists that just sit in their labs, and that's how we have everything we have today. So we really need to credit them a little bit more. So for me, I think the experience was extremely rewarding because I didn't do it for that reason. I didn't go with the intention of just having that written down on my application, but really it came from the heart, and it came as something that I really wanted to do.
It's really meaningful.
As a member of the science research program in my school, you always see the huge group of kids who come in freshman year wanting to do science. And every year it kind of trickles down a little bit more, because only the people who actually have a passion in science and who love it are willing to put in the effort and the time commitment, as we talked about before. So I think that it's so much more than something you could put on a resume, and you, like anybody who does it to put on a resume, always kind of quits in the end. And I think that it taught me so much about science. It taught me so much about questioning, that even without the label, it would be a great thing just to experience.
Yeah, I definitely came because of my passion for science. When I started science in middle school, and I just saw about all the different avenues you can take doing science and the different kinds of science that there is, and I just thought it would be such a great opportunity to learn about a different kind of science that isn't taught in school, because in school we mostly just focus just on like a chemistry or biology, but never get into specifics about how it affects humans on a daily basis. So I definitely did this for what I would learn and what I would be exposed to, and how I would be able to grow from that as a scientist and as a person.
Oddly enough, throughout my application process for the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition, and even after I got my acceptance to the program, the application process for college and my resume was the last thing on my mind. I had been intimidated all my life when it came to scientific jargon and the really complicated topics that science entailed, and I didn't want to be one of those people who was intimidated. So going through with this program made me one of the people who could go off on a tangent about all the science that they had learned and just really speak with a passion about it. And all my life I had admired those people, and I really felt that after I completed the course and the program that UMass Amherst and the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition had offered me, I could be one of those people. And honestly, that was the most fulfilling thing that I got from the program.
So would you guys consider doing this in your future? Do you see yourself pursuing science and going into more cancer research or a different science avenue? Like, what do you guys think you're going to do with this?
Well, when I was there, I was fascinated by the daily lives of these people. They wake up, they're so incredibly happy to start their day because they know that this day they're going to work harder and harder, and they're so passionate about what they do. And it's a hard life, but they love it. And I was really exposed to that for the first time, and I definitely think that it's an amazing job. I think that what I learned is something that I'm going to use forever and ever. The environmental links that we discussed. Who knows? I really don't know where I'll end up. If I pursue a career in science, then I know I'll really be happy there too.
It definitely exposed me to a scientist's daily life and how, they come in just to work and they expect things to not work. They expect kind of failure, but they work every day to just find that one thing that actually works and that one thing that can help change the health and the way we live our lives. I think that I'm always going to have some sort of science in my life, and I definitely think that this research program exposed me to a higher level of researching, and I hope to continue this in college. I do. But and hopefully something with cancer, because I find that very interesting now.
Yes, I will definitely be pursuing science. I really want to do it in college because the experience that I've had in this lab just shows me so many things that you can do in college to get involved in the science community. So I think that's something really important that I'll definitely look at. And even if I don't specifically do this type of science, I'll definitely be looking for ways to give back to other people and inform and possibly make policies that can really help inform people about what we're being exposed to and how to protect yourself.
I had joined this program knowing that I wanted to do science in the future, and after completing the program, that confidence in science and having that in my future increased tenfold. After everything I had learned in the science and research program through Laura and the GNBCC, I realized that science is something people are committed to on a daily basis. They breathe science, they live it. It's in every part of their lives, and I feel that it's the greatest thing. It's the greatest. You get the greatest pleasure from undergoing all these scientific things in your life, because at the end of the day, you're helping yourself, you're helping other people, and you're helping future generations, because the things we do today will affect not only everyone around us, it'll affect our children and our grandchildren, and that's just an amazing thing. The little things we do today have such a big impact, and we don't even realize it most of the time. So now I definitely know science is something I definitely want to do in the future.
I just want to mention one thing, and that is that both of these sets of girls went to two different laboratories. That Isabel and Aileen went to the Soto Sonnenschein Laboratory at Tufts University School of Medicine, which was our first laboratory, by the way, and they've hung in with us for 11 years. Amazing people. And also Kiana and Selena, they went to Laura Weinberg's laboratory at the University of Massachusetts. And actually, Dr. Weinberg first started at the Soto Sonnenschein Laboratory and was an original mentor to our first two students. So it's one big family, actually, and these two sets of girls were on the science of endocrine disruption and carcinogens, and they both like followed more or less the same kind of work.
Yeah. So I was wondering if there are any scholarships or grants to help with the expenses. I know that you're very underfunded, right? So are there any scholarships, and how would people contact you if they wanted to get involved and fund?
Well, they can go to our website, which is www.greatneckbcc.org. That's really a great way to reach us. And if we have money, we offer scholarships or partial scholarships. But right now, it's the funding climate is more on the downside, and we would like to see that picked up. So if there's anybody out there, please contact us.
It's an extremely important organization and research and all that, so I understand why you would need that funding. Well, thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on SciTech Long Island.
Hi, I'm Seth Green. When it comes to long-distance travel, NASA's got everyone beat. They're driving a rover on Mars, crisscrossing Saturn's moons, and are now exploring interstellar space. That's 12 billion miles away. But you don't have to go to space to see NASA in motion. In fact, no matter how you choose to get around here on Earth, you're probably using NASA technology. Ever see those turned-up tips on airplane wings? They're called winglets, and they came out of NASA research to reduce drag. Winglets save us billions in fuel costs and lower our carbon footprint. NASA technology can be found in your car, too. Discoveries made while observing astronauts in space have led to seat designs that keep you more comfortable on long drives. And advanced materials created by NASA have improved everything from brake pads to engine oil. In the air, on the road, there's more space in your life than you think. To learn more, visit us at www.nasa.gov.
Hi, Pete Suchman here, producer of SciTech Long Island. I just want to give you a heads up. After talking to these amazing students, the Long Island Science Congress seems to be the thing in common that these kids shared. So to the teachers out there and to the students out there who watch these shows, please think about participating in the Long Island Science Congress Junior Division in middle school and Senior Division in high school. The passion that these kids exhibit needs to be supported. So if there's a corporate sponsor out there that's looking for a good way to spend some money, please think about the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition. There are students out there that have the passion that may not have the financial means to participate in these wonderful programs. So you can contact Laura Weinberg through her website of the Great Neck Breast Cancer Coalition, and let's keep this project going and let's keep it viable. Thank you for your help, and the future looks good. Thank you.